back to another video. So in this video I want to talk about something that I think happens to most of us on this journey, and it's something that can be quite challenging. So what I'm talking about is when you know that you kind of need to move forward in a new direction, but when you still feel in a sense unable to do so. When you feel maybe just not motivated, uninspired, not confident enough, or just having to face a lot of your fears in order to move in that new direction. So this, like I said, this is something that will happen to most of us, and it can tend to happen when we have been going through a lot of changes over a very short period of time. And a lot of the times, when we go through these deep changes, the things that are no longer aligned with our path will kind of fall away from our lives. So that can mean that we end up, losing a job, or maybe having to end a relationship, or even sometimes having to leave a home. And sometimes these things will happen all at once. Things are just falling apart in a big way. And so it can be very challenging in these times when we are trying then to rebuild our lives again and to, do it in a way that's new to us. So that's what I wanted to go into in this video a little bit. So first of all, what happens when we are going through this kind of a process that I just described. So when we are going through all of these changes, a lot of the times it will start with an expansion of our mental body. And so we go through a period of time when we really start expanding our belief systems. We start questioning our belief systems, and we start noticing that we actually have more opportunities than what we previously thought. Maybe we realize that our life purpose is much bigger than what we used to think. And so when we go through things like that, we actually expand our mental body in a sense, because we expand our perception, our perspectives, they become bigger, and we open up to new ways of viewing reality. So when I was thinking about what I was going to say in this video, I was shown this visual of a swimming pool. So I'm going to use it to try to explain this change within our bodies, or within our subtle bodies, So you can imagine a swimming pool, and you start out with like a small little swimming pool. You can't even swim in it, actually. You can just sit in it, and it kind of covers, and the water can cover your body, but you can't really swim in it. So one day when you walk out to your swimming pool, you realize that it has somehow expanded. It has become twice as big. And so this is great. I mean, now you have a much larger swimming pool. You could actually go for a swim in it, and this would also open up for a lot of new potentials for you, a lot of new potential opportunities for you. For instance, like having a pool party, or maybe a swimming competition or something like that, The problem is that you notice that even though the swimming pool has expanded, the water in the swimming pool is still the same amount. And so at this time, the water, or the swimming pool, is only half full with water. And so, the water that I'm talking about is our emotional vibration. And so even though our mental body, which is the swimming pool, has expanded and become bigger, opening up for a lot of new opportunities, our emotional vibration is still at the same level. So it means that we're not really able to make use of all the potential opportunities that comes with, having this expanded mental body. And in order to do that, we kind of need to learn how to increase our emotional vibration. Because just to explain a little bit, what happens when we have a full swimming pool, so what happens when our emotional vibration matches the size of our mental body, is that we feel very empowered. We feel confident, we feel inspired, we want to take action. It's not like we even have to try to push ourselves, it's just like that's what we want to do, we want to create. And so of course, when we are going through all of these changes, when we are constantly expanding in different kinds of way, it's really beneficial to us if we can teach ourselves how to master our vibration. So how to consciously increase our vibration to match all of these new levels of consciousness that we learn to tap into. And so how do we do that? How do we learn how to increase the level of our vibration? So the first thing we need to figure out is if there are any leakages in our pool. So if you have any leakages in the structure of your pool, you are going to lose even more water. So what am I talking about here? A leakage is every thought that you might have that are causing you to feel bad in any way. And so thinking thoughts that make you feel bad are really draining your energy. It's draining the water within your pool, making our vibration lower, causing us to feel, low energy, uninspired, and really ultimately kind of unable to have faith that you can change your situation, that you have the power to change your situation. And so we can get stuck in these cycles, and it can be very depressing. We can get stuck in these lower vibrations. And so what we must learn how to do, the first step in order to free ourselves from this negative spiral, is to learn how to not believe in the negative thoughts. And this is how we ultimately learn how to master our own vibration. So what usually happens is that we tend to believe our thoughts. So if you're telling yourself that you're a failure when you are not able to move forward the way that you think you should, or maybe that you're never going to be able to create, the reality that you dream of, or some kind of other statement that that human beings today usually tell ourselves. We talk very badly to ourselves. When we do those things, we are draining our own vibration. We are actively kind of draining our potential power to make changes in our lives. And so, it's important to remember that these statements, these thoughts, thinking that you're powerless, for instance, these are just thoughts. These are just thought patterns based on some very fear-based programming, usually. And so it's not the whole truth. It's simply the truth of one single timeline. And this timeline is a timeline that's connected to, fear, doubt, disempowerment, so pretty low vibrational, and also pretty far away from the energy of, abundance and love and peace. And so I'm assuming that most of us, we don't really want to create based on such a low vibrational timeline. We don't want more fear or doubt in our lives. And so it's important to try to switch into a higher vibration before we take any action. So how can we do that? The number one thing to practice is self-observation. So teaching yourself how to be good at observing yourself is probably the most important thing, you can invest your energy in if you want to kind of grow your spiritual powers. So increase your intuition, like I said, learn how to master your vibration. It's just really the foundation of a lot of exciting things that we can learn to do. So first of all, self-observation, it will help to create a distance from getting caught up in these or getting caught up in this cycle where you start believing in the negative fear-based thought patterns. And as a result of this, we start anchoring into that timeline. So what does it mean when I say anchor in? When you're anchoring into something, it means that you believe in a statement that puts you into a certain emotional vibration. So for instance, believing in fear-based programming will cause you to anchor into that timeline. And, when you're anchoring into that timeline, you will feel fear every time you try to create or take action based on, for instance, your intuitive guidance instead of what the fear-based programming is telling you to do. And because fear is a lower vibration, being in fear will drain your pool, so you won't feel like moving forward. And if you were to move forward, you would have to push yourself. And a lot of people do this, I mean, me included. I've done it so many times. The problem with pushing yourself, when the main vibration within our body is kind of fear, pressure, and really all of this doom and gloom, is that we're not even gonna be able to get close to the vibration of the timeline where we can find our dreams. Because our dreams, they kind of come from our soul, our dream reality comes from our soul, and our soul is of a much higher vibration. And so it's easy to get stuck in these cycles where we feel that we are powerless because we keep pushing ourselves to take action when we're not actually vibrationally ready to do so. And so we start doubting our own abilities to actually manifest. We think that, it's something wrong with me. I'm not able to do this. And this can make you more and more depressed. It can create more and more negative thoughts that are draining your energy and making you feel less and less inspired. And so it can be like a very negative cycle where you cycle down to lower and lower vibrations. But you could also choose to take control of this, and instead of pushing yourself, for instance, to act forward, not even kind of aware of what we are creating, is to first take a moment to become aware of the different players within us. So, the different thoughts, the different emotions that we are experiencing within that moment. And if you learn how to observe these lower vibrational thoughts and emotions and simply accept them, you will instantly change your vibration. It's actually that simple. It just requires you to observe and to accept what you're seeing. So when you learn how to do this, you will move from, in a sense, being a slave of this fear-based programming. Being a slave of all of these negative thought patterns by believing them and by acting based on them, into simply observing them. So when you're observing something, when you're able to observe something without acting on it or without really reacting to it, just accepting it, so also without trying to change it, not trying to dominate it, to push it away, No, just accepting it. When you teach yourself how to do that, it means that you're able to rise above the programming. You're able to rise above the negative thoughts and the lower vibrational timelines. And so these timelines, they don't really have power over you anymore. They don't run you anymore. So the way to really take your power back is by choosing not to act based on the fear-based programming or these thoughts, because you tell yourself that you don't have to be afraid of whatever it is that your programming is telling you to fear. Because you know that it's just one timeline, it's just one potentiality. But if you're not wanting to create from that timeline anymore, then it's no longer your reality, it's no longer your truth. And so you can choose to let go of it by saying, I don't believe in that. That's not my truth. And this is not easy to do. I mean, part of that, I think, is because our brains are habitual, right? So our brains, they create these automatic thought processes that kind of cycle around and around. And so all of your programming, all of your fear-based thoughts, they will keep coming back and keep coming back. But if we each time, tell ourselves that, no, that's not my truth, this is not the reality that I want to create in my future, and so that's not my reality. And just reaffirm to yourself, keep telling yourself that this is just one timeline, and I'm not going to choose this timeline. And so instead of acting on it, instead of believing in it, you just observe it, accept that it's there, and just let it flow by. And when we do this over and over again, we eventually move into a place where we're no longer emotionally affected by these thoughts, by this programming. And when the fear-based programming doesn't create fear inside of us anymore, because we've stopped believing in it, it means that we have freed ourselves from that reality. Because it really is a reality. I mean, millions and millions of people do believe in these realities. They do believe in this fear-based programming. And so they're kind of unconsciously creating that into their own lives. And, this is not, I think it's important to think of this as neither good or bad, because this is part of our lesson, one of our biggest lessons, I think, within kind of the times that we are in right now. And so it can be both good and it can be bad. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. And so I think it's very important to not judge that, but to just simply observe it again. We try not to judge, we just simply observe and accept that this is what it is. But it doesn't mean that we have to keep doing it, Now that we are becoming aware of these kinds of things, we can choose to free ourselves by practicing, for instance, self-observation. By having the ability to just observe and accept what we see around us and what we see within us. But like I said, it does require a little bit of time and repetition in order to really achieve this. So again, having patience with yourself, being kind to yourself, supporting yourself through this is very important. Because now I talked a little bit about, all the things that are draining your pool, so making your vibration lower. The things that can increase your pool is, for instance, to talk kindly to yourself, have compassion for yourself. You say like, it's okay. We're all going through this. We're actually learning now, so in a sense it's a good thing. Just try to keep telling yourselves things that make you feel a little bit more safe and a little bit more calm. Because in the beginning, when we start focusing on this, it's very easy to get caught up in trying to change our emotions, actually forcefully trying to change our emotions. So thinking, like, oh, why am I feeling like this again? I need to move forward. Why am I feeling all of this fear? And being really hard on yourself because of that. Doing these things is only kind of gonna push you into denial, in a sense, where you start denying certain parts of your emotions, maybe, or maybe certain parts of your programming. And so we really don't want that, We want to just observe and accept, because we want to get to know all of us. We say to ourselves that, I accept everything that I am within me, so please show it to me, please help me expand my consciousness. So it's very important to learn just to observe and accept whatever it is that we see. And you can imagine, like, it's just, just like watching the sky, there's no judgment. It's just there. And again, this requires practice. So just about being persistent and kind and just doing it over and over. And along the way, you will get a lot of treats, because you will have a lot of expansion of your consciousness. You will become aware of things you previously weren't aware of. And it's a very interesting journey as well. So I think that right now we shouldn't underestimate the power of really investing our energy back into ourselves by expanding our consciousness in different ways. Because, what we're doing actually is that we are, in a sense, we're growing our own value. We're saying that I value myself, I value my consciousness, and so I want to invest back into me. And what we're also doing is that we're anchoring in a new timeline. And in this timeline, you are moving towards being in control of your reality, instead of being run by this fear-based programming that, honestly, it's been part of our culture for too long already. And so I would say that if you're not already doing it, start making it a priority to practice self-observational meditation. Because doing that regularly over a period of time, it really teaches your brain how to create a habit of observing your inner life without you really needing to put that much effort into accomplishing it. And so it means that even if you're in a conversation with another person, you will still be able to observe what's going on within yourself. And this will take you into this kind of expanded state of consciousness all the time, where you can stay there all the time, not just during meditations or when the energies are particularly high, but you will be able to teach yourself how to stay there all the time and to keep expanding, keep learning new things. And so yes, that's what I wanted to share with you today. I'm always really happy when I get feedback from you, so please leave a comment if you feel like it, and also, ask me any questions if you have any. So I hope you have a great day, and take care.